Check. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Um, at the back, are you able to hear me? Backbencher rockstars? Yes? How is the Josh? I didn't hear enough. How is the Josh? All right. Okay. The session in such a beautiful spot. It is standing between you and your lunch. So I apologize for that first. Yeah? Is this working? Let's see. Okay. I'm Gaurav Purandare. I currently manage cloud operations at Content Stack. So let us start. All right. So that's Content Stack. Interrupting. Okay. So let's start with Content Stack. Who are we? At Content Stack, we are on a mission to build world's most modern, most capable digital experience platform. What does it mean? Okay. This will not be boring, but let us start with some theory. By any chance, do you know who John Gall is or Gall's law? Anyone? Okay. So, John Gall was a system theorist. By occupation, he was also a pediatrician. And he said one very interesting thing. So, complex system will only work if it is derived from a simple system that worked in the first place. In the opposite, it also holds true that if you plan to design a complex system from the start, it will never work. You have to start with something simple and iterate over to build towards the complexity that you want to achieve. And that was exactly the same idea with which 14 years ago we started with Content Stack. We started with a simple idea of decoupling the content from the front-end experience. But being pioneers of headless CMS, we did not want to stop over there. What we also wanted was to raise the bar. And here is how we did it. We are the leaders of content management, and we joined forces with leaders of real-time data management, an organization previously known as Lytics. And with that, a combination of content and data brings you the magic. That is how you know the DXP is done in the right way. You have intelligent content, real-time data, and infinite personalized experiences. You can see our composable journey over the years and the customers who have witnessed this journey along with us. Over the years, we have been awarded and recognized by multiple industry awards. But one recognition that stood out was by Forrester Wave, where we were marked as leaders, or we were recognized as leaders in content management system categories. How cool is that, right? Now, what is this number? Is it some mad.random 12-digit number you are seeing? I'm sorry, but it is not. These are the number of API calls we served over the last year. 771 billion API calls. Awesome, right? I would let that information sink in because it translates to we are serving over 2 billion plus API calls per day. That means more than 60 billion API calls over a month, zero downtime releases, all this while maintaining single digit millisecond latencies of SLOs. Yeah? Now, how many of you are responsible for cost optimization? Yeah, I see few hands, and you are very much familiar with this expression, right? Whenever you see a cost spike in your AWS bill. And that is what we want to work towards. We want to plug the leaks and control the flow so that we are able to optimize our environments truly. Yeah? And this is what we will talk about today, the hidden price tags in your AWS bills. We will go through 3 topics, mainly unlocking the hidden cost, utilizing the power of savings plan, and do a deep dive into AWS cost anomalies. Now, as I mentioned, we are into content management business. That means we are operating terabytes of data. And with that amount of data, you can just imagine the data transfer cost that we are involved with. In this graph, you can see that we were able to reduce our 50% of data transfer cost just by implementing the VPC endpoints for the S3. And you can go through your applications whether having such endpoint configuration is essential, maybe with S3 or SQS, wherever the services are involved with the data transfer. The next thing is CloudWatch. So when we consider the CloudWatch, the very first thing that comes to our mind is monitoring and alarms. But CloudWatch is also holding one of the important factors of our infrastructure, that is logging. Right? So it handles logs that are coming from the VPC, from our application load balancers, and you can see it in the graph by configuring the right retention policies from the lifecycle rules. We were able to reduce 50% of our CloudWatch cost over the period. Along with that, in the VPC logs, we optimize them by logging only the rejections, so we are able to save cost on that too. The next one is utilizing and understanding the power of savings plan. How do we do that? Basically, to use the true power of savings plan, you should be able to literally see in the future that in the next 1 year or 3 years, what part of the infrastructure or workload is going to stay with you. If you are able to predict that, nothing better than that, right? But apart from that prediction, you also need a strategic investment into the savings plan. What does that mean? If you purchase the savings plan all at once, then basically you are limiting yourself from making any future adjustments into your workload. So if you strategize your savings plan adjustment that allow you to adjust the workloads according to the needs, either scale down or scale up as per the workload, then you are practically making most of your savings plan. You can see at Content Stack, we are always in between 85 to 90% of our savings plan coverage. The third thing is AWS cost anomaly notifications. I am sure All of you are aware of what AWS cost anomaly is, and you are probably receiving tons of notification around it. Now, I want to go through one specific scenario which we came across, where we received a bunch of notifications, and this is just a snapshot of over a period. But when we received the notifications, per day cost was too small, like $50 or something. But when we look at these notifications in a collected or accumulated way, over 10 days, we had spent around $2,000 across CloudTrail, S3, and CloudWatch events. While troubleshooting, we were literally scratching our head to make sense out of these notifications, because we were not able to identify the origin of these notifications or origin of the cost anomalies. Then, with a little bit of troubleshooting, we understood, okay, definitely something wrong with S3. We see the spike in general like 20 times more in the tier 1 request in one of the S3 buckets. Okay? So, later on, when we did more careful troubleshooting, we understood we have a component of EMR in our application where we had made the updates to do real-time analytics. What does that mean? That particular component was causing increased number of operations in S3. These operations were basically referred by our third-party CSPM tool, which was interacting with our AWS through CloudWatch put events. And all of this information was basically being tracked through AWS CloudTrail. So with this, we were able to identify the chain of events and justify the cost anomaly notifications that we were being receiving, right? I want you all to take away this information or this particular scenario with you today. To never ignore AWS cost anomaly notification just by looking at the amount, because there could be a correlation, and then that entire accumulated amount could be much more or much larger. So think of it as a best practice. That's all for today. I request you all to join our Discord community for Content Stack, and feel free to connect with me or LinkedIn. Thank you. Have a great day ahead. Take care.